All right, it is recording. All right, go ahead.
Cool.
Great.
So here in Eclipse, I was working this week on the threads, executors, and runnables. So I kind of found an example and I kind of tweaked it a bit that included the runnable executor or the executor service and threads. So if I see here, I was able to create a couple threads with the runnables. I created 5 threads. I had the executor service, and I put it to a new fixed thread pool so that it's like only 5 threads could only go through at once.
Okay.
Um, these were the execution of the threads. This is afterwards when everything's done, so it will shut down all the tasks. Let me quickly run it. So yeah, I believe. So it starts off when it initializes, so it gets the threads ready. Then it executes the threads, all of them, and then it tells you when it's completed. And I added some times just to see how it all works. This is 16 seconds, and it finishes executing at 21 seconds. So it gives you 5 seconds to execute. Um, this is all the things to kind of get it running and add it to the date and the time. Uh, so
So, like, what exactly is a thread? Like, what kind of information can you share on can you store on a thread? Just like a sequence or something?
I'm not too sure of that part. I that's why I sent the message of I don't know how it will really work in a program. Do you have
Okay.
anything else to say?
So basically, so yeah, the thread it's a program executed. So most of the examples that you probably see online were about just like printing out the screen.
Yes.
But in if you change it to, let's say you want to do a calculation for every thread, you can, so instead of just doing one calculation on one line, on one thread, that but say the redundancy there, you can run a thread or a multi-thread doing the same calculation like many times with maybe different values. So that way
Okay.
you can come up with a like maybe this could be, I don't know, I think this could be used on a financial, I guess, app, I guess, where you can compare two different stocks and and see how much they will compete with each other if you
Yes.
pass those values. So if you do it at the same time, you can have more like a real time calculation, and especially
So it's
with finances,
so it's
it's all
almost like a calculating iterator or something.
okay.
Um, so if you have say like 5 plus 2, so that will just go through that the whole time and store it inside a thread.
Correct.
Okay. Um, so I see that in a lot of examples, there's an interrupted exception that gets given. If ever it happens, it will always say print stack trace. I believe that it will give a Java error and it will backtrace it to the exception. I have another example here where I kind of saw this happening. You can see as all the print stack trace if ever that exception happens. Let's check how this works. So pool thread 1 and thread 2 started, task 1, task 2 started, and all of those. Okay. Um, so I see they created it here with a runnable, the task, and then they ran each runnable separately. Okay. Um. Yeah, I think I need to work on this. I need to work on this more. But yeah, this is what I could kind of get going for the threads.
Okay. That's good. Let me share what I have then.
Okay,
To
I'll stop sharing. There we go.
All right. Let me see. How am I gonna share this? Oh, shared my screen. So where did it go? Application window. Where's my? I think it's behind. All right. Do you see my NetBeans right now?
No, I do not.
No.
No.
Okay. Let me see. I think where did it go? I think I put my this window on full screen, so I think that's probably why. Okay. So entire screen. So that one, and then where'd the other one go? No, not there. Okay, so here we go. I think this would work. Okay, so I think this one, I'll push it over here. Yes, okay, so here we go. Now you see it, right?
Yep.
All right.
Nice.
So I created this class. Let me see where it's at. A couple things going on. So here's my main, and also so from here I call up the playing with threads class, which is over here. Playing with threads. It has the code to be executed, which is just a simple counter, and it will print out, which we have over here. And the way threads are utilized as well is that there's a couple ways you can do. You can do the method of star or the method of run directly as well. So if I run my code here, this is how it looks like. So it starts counting and then executes everything else. So I use as same as you, Mikal,
Yes.
the method of sleep, which kind of slows down the process. If you notice here, if I run it again, it goes little by little. I think it's 500 is a half a second, I think.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and so it slows down the execution. Otherwise, it's just like it prints everything in like under a second. So it kind of helps to see how the threads are like being executed. Then after this, it's called the threads. I do use the runnable interface, because that's one thing that we need to, I guess, kind of understand, is that extends threads is as part of the class, and implement runnable is the interface. So this is kind of like the under here has other methods as well as the class. And then so when you run multiple threads, I think the best way to put it, you give the example as well, Mikal, is that the executor service, it's kind of like an array. That's how I see it. So it creates an array of threads. For example, you give the value of 5. I just run this one 3 times. But if I was to change that to, let's say, a 10, then this thing will definitely run, multiple times. And let me see actually if it's only this, or do I have to change this as well? So let's see what happens here.
I think it only goes till 3.
Right. I think I have to change this over here as well. So let's say if it's less than 10, let's see if that's the one. And let's see what happens. So let's start counting, executes that code, and then this code. And then, yeah, there you go. So yeah, so it executes this part where it calls, let's see. So yeah, so it calls this. It creates the what do you call the instance or the object, and then it uses it to run as many times as you indicated. So that's interesting. So I see the executor service as an array. That's how I see it, and I think that hopefully that's how it actually works. The other thing is that whenever you use the executor service, I guess in addition to what you mentioned, Mika, is that you have to shut it down. If you don't do this, I think it runs forever, like a endless loop. Let me see if that's true. Let's see, put this back to 3 just to make sure that we don't do like a super long thread. Okay, so it stopped. That's good. I read in a couple of articles that you need to make sure that this thread is closed. Actually, you notice this on the bottom of my screen? Can you see that? Let me see if I can get this up a little bit. You see this plain runnable running?
Yeah.
Right.
So even though it's not displaying, it's the thread is still running on the memory of the computer. So you need to stop that. So
Sure.
yes, yeah, that's why it stops. See, otherwise it will probably get to the point that it will probably crash the RAM or saturate it with like so many threads because you didn't stop it. So that's probably the one reason they mentioned that you need to stop it at one point.
Got it.
Okay, so that's what I have on threads and execute and runnables.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Let me stop the recording then, and there we go. All right. Do you have anything to share before I stop this, Isaac, or any questions?
No, like I just wanted to understand better a little bit about threats.
Okay.
And coming from what you said at the end, that it kept running on in the background, it sounds to me like it's just like one of those programs that uses like the resources from the machine, and whenever you need to do something, I mean, it uses like those threads in the CPU to start computing like the operations and things like that. That's what I'm getting. I mean, I still need to read a little bit more, and but no, I mean, so far I have nothing else to share.
Okay, I'll stop the recording so that we can discuss afterwards as well.
Sounds good.